The governor of the great state of Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers. Governor, thank you for being here. We are excited to be joined by the CEO and Executive Director for Wisconsin State Fair Park. We say hello to Sherry Black. Sherry. Further down, he is a six-time NTT IndyCar Series champion, the winner of the 2008 Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge, and a winner of the 2009 IndyCar Series race right here at the Milwaukee Mile. It's great to have Scott Dixon with us. Scott. And we're also excited to welcome one of the rising young stars in the NTT IndyCar Series. He just completed his second season. He certainly appreciates the tradition and history of the Milwaukee Mile. He was born and raised just down the road, about 90 minutes or so away in Chicago. We are joined today by David Malukas. David, thank you. Well, just announced by the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Penske Entertainment, the return of the IndyCar Series to the famed Milwaukee Mile as part of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series schedule marks the first IndyCar Series race at the Mile since 2015, but it's not just one race in 2024. For the first time in the track's history, we'll be hosting two IndyCar Series races in one special Labor Day weekend set for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, August 30th through September 1st. And if that wasn't enough, the timing of that weekend is going to be crucial for the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series Championship, as it will lead directly into the season finale just 2 weeks later down in the streets of Nashville for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix and the celebration of the 2024 champion. The rising stars of the sport will also be competing that weekend on the super fast 1 mile oval located just outside here. The Indy Next by Firestone Series will also be making their return since 2015. So we look forward to seeing the rising stars return here at the Mile as well. And finally, the Milwaukee Mile IndyCar Series doubleheader will air and be available nationally on Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Fans can watch it on Peacock, and on Sunday they will be able to watch it on USA Network along with Peacock, with additional coverage extending to the 223 global markets in 142 countries, thanks to our global network TV partners. We'll start with Roger Penske, and Roger, again, good morning. Your interest in returning to the Milwaukee Mile is certainly well documented. What is it about this legendary facility that you've been coming to for years and years and years? What is it that compelled you to bring the series and the officials back in 2024?
Well, first let me thank the governor for getting behind this project. We had a chance to get together him almost a year ago. We talked about it earlier. We talked about the chance to come back here, and certainly, Sherry, with you and your team, to be able to look at the track, and I think there's a huge commitment here, from the state and certainly the Wisconsin Fair Board, John Wheeling, the chairman, and we got together and talked about what we need to do to bring it to the current standards, to have an IndyCar race here. The commitment from the state and certainly the Fair Board has given us that opportunity. But for us, as a series, we're trying to be different, and I think the diversification, that's what it is. We're going to have 6 ovals next year, which is one more than we had this year. I think it's important as we get ready these drivers for the Indianapolis 500, which is obviously our premier event, but also with our road races and also the street races that we have around the country. So to me, this opportunity was really obvious. It's in our backyard. We have a tremendous amount of fans in this part of the country that love IndyCar racing. When you talk about it, my understanding, I talked to the governor, it was 1939 when they had the first race here. So I'm not sure exactly what we ran there at that time. I know it's going to be a little more modern. And having Scott Dixon here, who's been a 6-time champion, and David Lucas, obviously, I think they understand what this means to us. This is our DNA, oval racing. We love to go racing on the streets and also certainly on the fixed road courses. But this opportunity for us, as we look from an IndyCar standpoint to create a bigger footprint, within the sport, and the television coming out of these types of ovals is amazing. The passes, the competition, and I'm sure that Scott and Dave can talk about it. But for me, from the standpoint, this is a great opportunity as we're trying to build the IndyCar Series. There's lots of competition out there today, but this to me will give us a crowning really crowning opportunity to take this series to the next level. And guess what? Double points that weekend. Ryder's going to talk about that. You've been committed to this race, right? Scott, leading to come up here. If you don't really be able to compete here and make a dent in the points, this is a chance to do that. So it's going to be exciting, and I think it's going to mean a big difference to win this race coming up next year. So for me personally, it's a great commitment, but it's a commitment as a team. It's not just IndyCar. You follow me? It's the state, it's the Fair Board, and all the people that are in this market here. And really, I want to thank everyone that's committed to this. So we're very excited. And Governor, again, thank you for getting behind it. Very important, believe it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and Governor, good segue. Roger mentioned 1939, the legendary winners here read like a who's who of IndyCar's history. To see IndyCar return after, what, an 8-year hiatus, what does it mean to Milwaukee, the State Fair Park, and certainly the great state of Wisconsin?
It's great to be here. Well, first of all, thanks to Penske's great work to make this happen in such a short period of time. How about that? But in reality, you know, it's a huge win for Southeast Wisconsin. It's a huge win for our state. It's a huge win for the State Fair Park and tourism in general. But I am jazzed about this for a couple of reasons. One is obviously I care about tourism in the state of Wisconsin, but in the executive residence, there's actually a poster from 1939. Things look a little different from the way it looks today. But anytime you have a chance to, you know, redo history and take this into a whole different level, you have to take that advantage of that. And a lot of people should be thanked for that. But the history of this organization and this track is why we're here today. The other thing is we want to make sure that we have a top-notch experience for the teams and for the fans and others. And I know the State Fair does a great job at that. My wife and I have gone 54 consecutive years to the State Fair, so we get it. You guys do a good job, by the way. And so we want it to be a great experience, and it will be. And the partnership making this happen, and believe me, this doesn't always happen where we set a goal to do something and accomplish something. Sometimes in politics that takes generations. Sometimes, in this case, it took a year. Thank you for doing that. And because we can show that things can get done at the state level, whether it's Team Penske, State Fair Board, all the folks that are part of the State Fair, the state agencies, many of them are here today that have played a role. So it's been a team effort and a really good effort, and we're going to have a lot of fun next Labor Day weekend.
Countdown's on. Governor, thank you. Sherry, again, thank you for hosting us here today. And I certainly know, folks here know, Wisconsin State Fair Park annually hosts one of the most popular state fairs in the entire country. The IndyCar doubleheader weekend will take place just a couple of weeks after the State Fair in 2024. State Fair Park team will serve as the race promoter while hosting the event beginning next year. Just talk to how excited you are coming off a great state fair and to double down by hosting the IndyCar series for a couple of races in 2024.
Yes, well, we are thrilled to welcome IndyCar back to the Milwaukee Mile. There's just so much that we feel that we can offer here. Wisconsin State Fair Park has a very talented team. We actually have just over 1 million people that attend our fair annually, as well as our year-round events bring in another 1 million people during the year, so we certainly know events. And with our talented team, we have some really big new ideas for this event. We think that we can expand the footprints and help encompass more of our vendors that offer some unique food and beverage options, as well as some programming that we'll put into this as well, and that will help people, all of our race fans, can come and enjoy this as a family-friendly event as well throughout the whole weekend.
Awesome. Can't wait, I know. And speaking of those that can't wait, we do want to recognize some of the State Fair board members in attendance, give you a shout out as well. Board Chairman John Yingling is here. John, thanks for being here. Wisconsin Secretary of Tourism Ann Sayers is here. Deputy Secretary of the Department of Tourism Paul Hammer is here, and Paul Zieler is here. Thank you so much for being a part of this announcement here today. Thank you all. guys are looking forward to it. Those two at the very end, I know, are looking forward to it as well. Again, Scott Dixon, 6-time NTT IndyCar Series champion, won here at the Mile not once, but twice. First did it in the Indy NXT by Firestone Series, formerly known as the Indy Lights. That was back in 2000. And he scored a very memorable IndyCar Series win here as well in 2009. Scott, we know you love ovals. We know you love the history of the sport. It should be a lot of fun in 2024 coming back to the Mile.
Yeah, I think all of us were definitely extremely excited for the announcement. Some of us heard the whispers of it coming back on the schedule. I know it'd been talked about for maybe the last year or two. A tidbit, I think the first time I won here, David wasn't even born. So that gives the span of history I've had at this place. Some great results here, maybe the win, but then I've also had some records. I think I destroyed 2 cars in 4 laps and actually didn't make the race and was sent home. So some mixed feelings back in the earlier days, but this is huge. And I think, as Roger touched on, the timing of this event is going to be very special. A doubleheader. It's big points on the table before we go into the season finale and for the championship fight. So I think I'm especially really pumped about that and where it's going to fall on the schedule. But it's so good to be back here in Milwaukee. A lot of great memories from this race, and obviously a great area for our fans. So definitely excited to see it back on the schedule. And I know that everybody up here is going to want to do the best job possible, and hopefully we can pack the place out and put on a great show for everyone.
Good timing. Labor Day weekend should be a lot of fun. And finally, before we open it up for questions, again, someone who grew up just 90 minutes or so down the road here. Is this a home game for you? I don't know, David.
Yes.
You'll take it?
Pretty much a home track is going to be kind of that sort of feel. I'm super excited for what's coming, especially being a doubleheader. Short ovals is kind of something that we've had a lot of fun in and a lot of success. And I think the racing in IndyCar, like Roger said, it's something very special and unique to our series. So it's very good to have 2 more coming around, especially here at the Milwaukee Mile. So I think me, Scott, and the rest of the crew, we're going to have a lot of fun and put on a good show.
We want to go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have a question, Edward, the gentleman in the blue shirt, has a wireless microphone so we can hear your questions. That would be important as well. Don't be afraid. Dave Kallman, here in the front row. Dave, great to be back and great to see you here in Milwaukee, my friend. Thanks.
Sure, you said big new ideas. You care to expand on that a little bit?
Well, I think that we understand we need a bigger footprint, so we are looking for those that are local and are familiar with our harvest fair. That's sort of what we are planning to follow, kind of that footprint where it really brings out our Central Park area. There's a lot of area for programming, and as I mentioned, some of our local vendors that have some fun and unique offerings will be able to open. In the past, it's always been along Grandstand Avenue, which is right outside of the track. So we're trying to go more into the fair and have more of that festival feel. A lot of our vendors bring in their own music acts, so we're hoping that they'll do that as well. So just kind of that festival type feeling is what we're looking for.
And Roger, this is about the 3rd or 4th resurrection we've had in the last, since Scott won. But this place has had a hard time kind of getting over the hump, getting over that 15,000 or whatever. The best days were more than 20 years ago. What makes you think you can succeed not just once, but on back-to-back days as far as getting a turnout for this?
Well, look, it's part of our,
It's, obviously a key part of our schedule. But more important, I think, is as Penske Entertainment, took over the series and operates the Speedway, I think we come in with a team of experienced people that we can partner with Sherry and her team here at the fairgrounds. Before you had promoters coming in and coming out, but we're committed. We've invested heavily in the track at Indianapolis and also certainly in the series, and it's important that we take these series to places that are long-staying capabilities, which you have here. Got a great track. You drive in here this morning, the place is clean, and one of the areas that we like so much is we have this wonderful convention center that the state has provided here at the park, and we'll have all of our chalets, all of our entertainment, for our sponsors and people like that. can really set up there. So we see that's going to be a great entertainment, especially as we come down to the end of the series, be able to use that for what it's built for, to bring fans into the state and certainly for tourism. And we'll use that as a key. Also, we're looking, is there an opportunity to have entertainment? You know, we have the opportunity here with a entertainment area here at the fairgrounds, and potentially maybe Saturday night we could have some music. We haven't committed that yet. You know, we're working a number of sponsors we've touched base with are very interested to be part of this. We haven't announced anything at this point, but I think it's our experience. As you know, we were in the speedway business for a long time with Michigan and California and all over the country here, and then to be able to come here and put this under our control in conjunction as a partnership with the Wisconsin Fair Board, I think it works out. I mean, we got the capital to do it, but even more important when we step back and you look at the track and the money that's been allocated by the state funding in order to take it to the next level from a safety perspective and also for a fan, I think we're doing that also. So those are all things, Dave, that had to happen before we could come here and say it's going to be sustainable.
Andrew White, Forbes Sports. Before I pass to Roger, I just want to clarify, Sherry, did you say that this is going to tie into Harvest Fair, or is that just the...
No, Harvest Fair is a separate event, so
Okay.
if you have not been, it starts this weekend. You are welcome to come back.
That's why I was confused, it's usually later in the year, so...
Correct.
Okay. All
But
right, just
looking
wanted-
at that footprint, that's similar to
Okay,
Harvest Fair.
got it. And then for Roger and Scott, you guys know the history of the series and the history of this track and its legacy in the sport of racing. Just what does this place mean to you both as someone who's been an owner, someone who's been a racer, just the history of this place?
Well, let me answer it, you know, as far as an owner is concerned with my racing hat on. I mean, you think Rex Mays and Bettenhausen and some of the greatest Roger Ward racing up here, these are the great names in the sport. And it was always, Scott, right after Indy, they used to come, obviously would come here to Milwaukee and run. And to me, it was just part of the DNA of the series, and we kind of lost that. And I think that's one thing we're trying to do as an ownership group to bring this back. And I think this just solidifies our involvement in the sport and the diversity, which I talked about earlier, that we can have the fastest mile ovals and the fastest ovals not only here, but go just not too far away to Indianapolis. And I think this is certainly critical. And if we're going to run it in Indianapolis, just think about it. We need the drivers like David to be able to compete on a mile racetrack before they go to a place where you're qualifying, as Scott and his team did this year, at 234 miles an hour. So also it's a training ground when you think about it for all of the drivers as we go forward. So it fits all the boxes really for this.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, you know, for a driver's standpoint, you know, for me, the love of and passion for, you know, IndyCar racing was the diversity, right? You had short track ovals, super speedways, road courses, street courses, and we kind of lost a lot of the ovals off the schedule. So to get back to that, you know, my first year in Indy Lights, you know, there was 6 ovals and 6 road courses. So to come back to fundamentally what is part of the DNA of IndyCar, I think is, you know, important in moving forward. So I love these tracks; they're a lot of fun. You know, they're action-packed. You know, the fans will have a ton of fun. And it's probably changed a little bit from last time we were here. You know, the cars and the performance and actually the raceability has got a lot better as well. So the show will be fantastic.
Steve McGarvey, Associated Press. First, for Scott, you said you had heard the whispers that it might be coming back here. What was it that you kind of just missed about having an event here, and just what was the reception like among the drivers about the possibility of coming back when those rumors started?
I think it fell more back onto, you know, short track ovals. You know, it's part of what I grew up doing in you know, the Indy Next or you know, Indy Lights back in the day. You know, so it was definitely a miss. You know, some of the super speedways and, you know, the Indy 500 is the Indy 500. It's a fantastic event, amazing event, and one of the toughest races in the world. But, you know, to get back to these short tracks, and I think when I won the 500 in 08, you know, you do the media tour and you come straight here to Milwaukee and continue racing at one of the toughest tracks possible. So, you know, for me, it's yeah, these tracks they're fun, they're hard, but it's a lot of it is the history, and I think the more you do it, you really understand, you know, what it was all about.
And for Roger, just a general scheduling question. No Texas stop next year, the one Indy road course. What went into the decision? Obviously, you add something, you have to take something away, but what went into those decisions?
I think we'd love to have the Texas event, but, the television with the Olympics has really changed the scheduling for sports across all different aspects of sports. And so we couldn't get together with Texas due to a NASCAR event, but also the fact that we could come here and add 2 events gave us one more oval, which, as I talked about earlier, and, Scott talked about the reason we cover the competition. Just think about it. We have 27 cars and we've had less than 1 second between the qualifying. Think about it. It was not that way in the past. Right, Scott? In the past, we had big changes. It's so competitive. When you see these guys get out of the cars after qualifying, and to me, for us to be able to add the ovals to the schedule even made us a much stronger series, I felt. And, we'll be back at Texas hopefully in another year, but this Olympics really kind of threw a rock in the middle of all the scheduling of sports right now.
Roger, quick question. I know you've had great days here, and I know that there was one year where Elio's wing literally collapsed when he was leading. What is it about this place that some drivers like Scott have told me, like it almost is a little bit like a road course, but yet it's an oval, but it's so challenging, and you love so much about it?
Unfortunately, I'm not a driver, so I can't give it to you lap by lap, but these guys are committed. We have real athletes driving these cars today. I mean, these guys are in shape, and you have to be just to hang on. And we don't have power steering or anything. Some of the other types of sports have power steering. This is all about the driver themselves. And I think the flat surface in 1 and 2, and then a little bit of banking over in 3 and 4. It's just you're almost will run to qualify here wide open. And I can't tell you what I think the speed will be, but it's going to be amazing. And it's a place, and it's the other thing. The people in the grandstands can see the whole racetrack. That's another thing today. They feel like they're in the cars. They can see what's going on. It's not coming by, every minute and a half or what it might be. So I think the visibility, the fact that we can have entertainment for our corporate sponsors, we're going to bring more visitors into the state, which is obviously one of the key reasons the governor has given their commitments here. And we can partner with the State Fair Board and get the benefit of their relationships, with the baseball team and all the other sports we have here, in the state. So to me, it all came together.
Just talk about the importance of why Milwaukee. That there's a lot of pride here in Milwaukee and there's a lot of tradition. Talk about.
Well, we like history. You follow me? When you think about 100 years at Indianapolis, and if they started here in 1939, there's no reason we can't come back. And we're coming back with a better product. And to me, the infrastructure here, remember, to go around the U.S. to find an oval that has the infrastructure that we have here, and then to have a partner that can help us promote this, it doesn't happen. So I think that was one of the reasons we felt this was really a perfect combination and partnership with certainly Sherry and her team and John and the Fair Board.
Yeah, the countdown is on for the 2024 doubleheader here at the Milwaukee Mile. Boy, we cannot wait for Labor Day weekend next year. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming out, too. That's great.